Hey there, Christy here with Automation on a Mission, and this is your latest Tidbit Tuesday. And in this video, we're going to talk about how to make the if paths or if statements your best friend in the automation builder. Now, I try to make these videos anywhere from 3 to 5 or 7 minutes. Sometimes I have epic failures. And I just anticipate this is going to be one of those. And the reason for that is because I want to do more than just give you a scratch of the surface, but really give you a what's possible kind of way of thinking about all this. So I want to start with something simple and basic, and then we're going to go into some more of an idea about and a way of thinking about this that's a lot more complex, but something that you are totally capable of achieving yourself as well. Okay? So, and the more complex version, we're going to actually look in our own business so you can see a sample of that. Alrighty, so when I look at my automations, you already have an automation that uses an if path. You probably have several, but I want to give you an example of one that comes in your system straight out of the box, and that is your lead capture default template. So when we created this and we installed this in everybody's account when they first sign on, and then we customize it to specifically fit your business, if you scroll down, this is just what we would call a standard drip campaign. And it's a series of actions that go one after another, and really the milestones that separate time are your timers. So anything that is, from between one timer and another, or in this case, the trigger and this timer, all of these things are essentially happening at the same time. And then we have a timer and a text and a timer, and then we've got our first if statement, okay? So up to this point, everybody's having the same experience. But we want to give a different experience, and in this case, for the lead capture, we're going to give a different experience based on whether or not they did something with our initial email. And if you've ever heard me talk about this workflow before, or you've learned from myself or Amber, the thing that we care about when it comes to this particular automation is, did they download the resource? Did they click the link to access whatever your lead magnet is? It could be an audio, it could be a download, it could be access this course, whatever it might be. There should be a call to action in your initial email that says, thank you so much for asking for this goodie, here's your goodie. Click here to get the goods, right? And so our first if statement is going to ask the question, did they click the link? Now, this video isn't about trigger links and how those things work. It's specifically focusing on your if statement, your if branch. And it's also a condition. So if you, I'm going to get myself out of the way. I'm going to click on the cancel real quick. So if you click on this little plus here and you just type the word if, that's what it looks like. So that's the first thing that you're going to do. And then you decide, what does the journey look like? And so where we insert this is because we want to give different experiences based on a certain criteria or a certain series of conditions. So in this case, what we're paying attention to is, did they click the link? And if they click the link, then we're going to move them into the next stage of our customer journey. And if they don't click the link, we're going to send them a follow-up email. And this is one of those things that from a strategy and philosophy standpoint, I'm like, let's just get you down the road where you want to go. Because beyond just taking advantage of a free goodie and like reinforcing that free goodie over and over and over again, let's move on and move you further into a place of know, like, and trust so you can buy my stuff, right? So very simple thing is, did they click the link? We're using a trigger link as the way we're monitoring whether they did or they didn't. And in this case, we only have two branches. Yes, they clicked the link. No, they didn't click the link. Yes, they clicked the link. No, they didn't click the link. So in this case, the more complex follow-up came because they didn't do the thing that they were supposed to do, okay? So now I want you to look at an automation I created based on a form. So the trigger and all of the branches are going to be related to this specific form. Now, when I look at the form, and I just want to give you some background information, also know that the automation isn't complete. I forgot to actually write the emails that go in it, so, it happens to all of us. Anyways, so the questions, so notice that there's questions about products, questions about contacts, questions about calendars. And there are 3 questions about contacts, 2 questions about calendars, and 4 or 5 questions about calendars. The rest of this doesn't actually even matter, so we're not even going to talk about it. When I look at it from the front side, there's 1 question about products, 1 question about contacts, and 1 question about calendars. Why does this matter? Because I want you to get the rationale behind the strategy of what we created. So, do you have products that you wish to sell in Automation on a Mission? If the person says yes, then they're going to get another question. This is conditional logic. So this doesn't necessarily play into the automation, but what I needed to know was what is the question that actually matters in terms of delivering them the results that they need. This stuff is less important to me than this, because this, if you are a new client of ours, that means that we need to get the information about what products we're setting up for you. If you say, yes, you want us to import your contacts, then I know that we need to be coordinating with you to get a spreadsheet or get access to your contacts, et cetera, et cetera. There's a gnat flying around. So while the form on the front side or on the back side looks really big and complex, the user experience is very simple. And again, when we go to the automation, what matters is the conditions of the form, okay? And what matters is just those 3 questions. But I wanted to create a results page based on all the potential scenarios that could play out. And while there were a total of 9 potential scenarios, because of one of those follow-up questions, there ended up needing to be 12 different branches. Now, I don't need you to understand the who, what, and the why of my liberal arts math degree, so please don't ask me to explain that. It was manual trial and error. It was not algebra. I'm pretty sure that would be algebra. Anyways, so in this case, actually let me back up a second. The form is the trigger. So as soon as they submit the form, doesn't matter what their answers are, that specific form is what moves them into this particular workflow. As soon as they get into the workflow, they get their if statement. And then we have to decide what branch do they go on based on how they answered those questions. So even if my form has 15 questions, there are only 3 of them that really matter with a follow-up. So under most circumstances, I'm able to ask the question. So for example, if they have to upload products, contacts, and calendars, then all roads lead to the same destination, and that's a yes, 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 and yes. And so depending on, so maybe you don't need us to enter products, but you do need contacts and calendars. Then you have your rules based on how they answered those questions. So one of the questions, do you have contacts that you wish to import? Yes or no. In this case, that question is, do you have products that you wish to, products or services you wish to sell in Automation on a Mission? So they answered no, but they answered yes to contacts and yes to calendars. So that's how they get into this particular branch. So I needed a scenario for every single one of those circumstances. So why am I showing this specific thing to you? I need a good example. All right, so we want to see this one right here. Okay, so I can see a summary of the rules about how they're going to end up in this particular channel. So in this one, products and contacts, because remember I had that follow-up question. I want the one that says products and calendars, products and contacts. Okay, so they are going to say, okay, so the reason why, let's go back to this here form real quick. So the calendar one is, are you currently using an online calendaring system? Yes. Do you want us to transfer your calendar booking? So if they answer yes, it's going to give me specific answers. If they answer no, it's going to take away those conditional logic things. So what I have, one branch can have 2 different set of rules, okay? And this is the reason I wanted to show that to you, because it wasn't just as simple as, are you using a calendaring system? It's specifically, do you actually want us to import your calendars? And we have actually probably 30% of our clients do not have an online calendar booking system before they come in. So it's a null and void point if they don't have anything. So I've tried to reduce overwhelm by making the form a little bit smaller. But on the back side, I have to make sure that the logic supports it. So scenario 1, yes, they have products. Yes, they have contacts. No, they don't have an online calendar booking system. Because if you don't have an online calendar booking system, then we don't need to transfer anything because it doesn't exist. Or the other option is, yes, you have products, yes, you have contacts, and yes, you have an online calendaring system, but you don't want us to import it. So both of those circumstances are going to take them to a results page that gives them instructions for somebody who needs to upload products and contacts, but not calendars. Okay, so just let that sink in. So they've said yes to products, yes to contacts, and no to calendars, or yes to products, yes to contacts, yes to online calendars and no, they don't want us to import them. The outcome is the same, but how they got there might be a little bit different. So when it comes to setting up your if statements, it could be as simple as, do they have a tag? Did they click a trigger link? Or you can do sophisticated automation that gives you a really customized experience. And this is totally within the realm of possibility for all of you, especially if you have better math skills than I do, because the hardest part was the math, not the actual logic itself. So in the situation, let's just walk through what it is. Do you have products and services you wish to sell? Easy answer, yes. And, notice there's an and here, and an or, and an and an or. So they can either be all and or all ors. But if you need to separate them out, that's where you get a second one. Okay? So it's going to be, this is all one scenario, and this is a whole different scenario, but the results page is exactly the same. The action and the follow-up that we take is going to be exactly the same. So if you've been able to follow along and you understand the who, what, and the why to what I've explained, the intended outcome for us, and if I go back to this form, when somebody fills it out, depending on their responses, they get a different results page every single time. So like if they said yes to products, contacts, and calendars, their results page, the page that says this is what you need to do, is not the same as the person who says they only have products and contacts. They get a results page that says, awesome, here's what you need to do. So it gives them a little bit more instruction, but it's not giving them instruction that they don't need. So it's to make that super simple and specific. And then we can send automated responses and follow-ups to our team and to the client that said, this is what you said, and this is what we need you to do. Again, here are the links to where you can go and access those resources. So I'm not creating general, generic email content. I really, really, really want all of my readers, clients like yourself, and our subscribers and followers to read our content. And you're not going to read my content if I don't talk directly to you. So how I get to that place is making sure that I spend the minutes, the hours, the weeks, the days to get to a place where I can give you exactly the information that you need when you need it. Okay? So make if statements your friend. Start easy, a simple question. Look at all the different kinds of things that you can trigger. So if I go to my branch here, I can do it based on any custom field information in the system. I can do it based on timing. I can do it on a workflow trigger. So this automation here is based on a workflow trigger. So if you're looking for something inside the workflow itself, you can do that. A workflow contact, events, custom values, and then you'll notice that everything below here is grayed out. And what that means is that these are not applicable based on the conditions of this specific automation. So how you set things up could make something available in here. So for example, if you have a wait for a reply step, that could then make this branch an accessible option. All right? So I hope that is helpful. And if you have follow-up questions or we can support you in building something like this in your system, hop on a call with Amber. She was super excited when I showed her what we created for our onboarding process, because what you're looking at here is a part of our new onboarding program. We're constantly refining and trying to make our own systems better, learning from our mistakes, learning from the things that are challenging for you all, and we're here to help make those same sort of improvements accessible and possible for you as well. All right? Let us know how we can help. Thanks so much.